we need to celebrate women empowerment and school shootings, killing of students, as the same karmic energy. Yes, women's empowerment and school shootings. Okay, if you don't believe me, let's look at America from the very beginning. George Washington, the guy who empowered the revolution, and I don't mean the random noise revolution of terrorism, okay, or if you've read the National Geographic, the new satellites can do anything, okay, they can initiate animal instincts, okay, you can get an intelligent bird, when all humans are intelligent in the sense that they are actually humans and not mentally retarded, okay, that's, hopefully there's, if you think any racism in that, boy, we got some serious problems, okay, and I think women would like to see that. They would say, oh yeah, school shootings are normal, women empowerment, that's all that matters. So let's look at George Washington, okay? And when I say animal instincts, I'm talking about schizophrenic, sort of electronic, satellite possibilities, okay? You can actually target certain muscles in the body, okay, with satellite stuff. This is utterly high technology, but it exists. As far as I know, you have to contradict me here, but you could instigate schizophrenic outbreaks, or maybe even a cramp in someone's leg. Okay, Mr. President, I hope you're listening here, because they would love to cramp you. Trust me. So George Washington was supposed to get an education. He was supposed to go to school. Okay, back then schools were not co-ed. Okay, George Washington would have had to cross the street like a chicken, like a boka boka boka, you know, almost sort of like when you get there, he'd be like, let's have some eggs, you know. Because Billy Bush, you get some eggs too, boy. You know, happiness, responsibility, peace, world peace. Is that what you want? Because I think you could have women empowerment and war. Okay, you could have school shootings. Just, oh, that's normal. Now we have women in schools, in universities, and we have shooters. You know, it's just normal. You know, women in schools and shooters, guys like killing people because nobody can save us. Okay, and so what you had, you know, it's like Superman. Oh, Superman will save us. A fake person. I hope, again, Mr. President is listening to this, because I think being a fake person or an alien, I think that is a joke. And I think that's another reason why Hillary Clinton is not president. Okay, and it just shouldn't be a woman president. Our founding fathers thought that was an atrocity. So let's go back to George Washington. His mother said, no education for you. Whereas she was going to give him a scholarship, but then she like looked around and said, oh, look, the tabloids are coming. And with GPS was existing when George Washington was a child. It didn't exist when his dad was around. In fact, as soon as it existed, his dad died. Technology allows us to communicate and allows us to do idiotic things. So George Washington's mother saying, no scholarship for George Washington. Let's have a war that divides the world, that makes it lousy, that creates austerity, that ignores these fundamental sociological realities. That George Washington, there's a stringer of them, okay? They're the Aurora, Colorado shooter. You're not thinking Sherlock Holmes in the Middle East, because that's a lovely war, and every time I hear a woman's voice, I think, oh yeah, there should be some chemical weapons there, shouldn't there? I mean, with all the women reporting, you know, why not have the atrocities, okay? And during World War II, the Big D, who was really in charge? It wasn't Franklin, it was his wife, okay? We know this. And this is a woman, and the Holocaust is happening. So you think, oh yeah, I want that forever and ever. A woman in charge making idiotic choices. This is why our founding fathers forbid it. They said, black people, yeah, they could probably, there's some intelligent, reasonable black people. Not all white people are reasonable either. Okay, there's, some of them are truly just indentured class. And a lot of us love to be of service to other people. Okay, but if you're not serving your own people, if you're not giving George Washington a scholarship, if you think, oh, he should just be arrested, you know, that would be funny. You're losing. Okay? And we're playing the trump card. Because, okay, and I got a whole stringer of examples. Let's see, Woodrow Wilson, the Great War, and he's got a couple of big sisters. Who else has, what other president has had a couple of big sisters? Let's see, could it be Donald Trump? Okay, yes. And who was George Washington? The guy with the little sister, the guy who is supposed to make a peace, but he is not going to do it without prosperity. Prosperity comes first. Peace is then the prize, the peace prize. If you do not care about that, then you are causing violence. You are causing war. You are causing everything bad simply because you are thinking, oh, we got to have a woman in charge. And this is not true. Okay, this is like a man having a baby. It's the same thing. Okay, a man having a baby is like school shootings. It's like completely insane. Okay, it's to have a woman in charge. Okay, so when my dad went to school, there was no co-ed college. Okay, and there were no school shootings. Okay, there was one guy who had a tumor in the back of his neck, and let me tell you, it must have sucked, because if he had medical treatment, maybe it could have been solved. Okay, this is, George Washington had dental issues, and maybe if he had a prescription for those dental issues, maybe that would be good. You know, not a bad idea, okay, to at least learn the traditions of healthy eating, okay, which you're not going to learn on, you're not going to learn in San Francisco or anywhere remotely near there if you've got a little sister like George Washington did, okay? And if you're not giving him a scholarship, then you are the enemy. You are creating the wars. You are fundamentally causing the problem. And I don't mean scholarship to go to Colorado like Columbine, like, oh, wouldn't that be hunky-dory? No, that would be completely idiotic and desperate. Okay, that happened when Bill Clinton was president. It's very sad. It's just like Jimmy Carter saying he wants peace in the Middle East. He wants to champion this. But if someone was born in Georgia and whose parents and grandparents were from the North, that's the enemy politically to Jimmy Carter. And I will tell you straight up, I've done the research. When I was born there, and my brother, both of us were born in Atlanta, Georgia, Republicans were in charge. Jimmy Carter was not in office. He was in office before we went there and after we went there. And I'm pretty sure my grandfather said, you know what, now is a good time to go there, now that there's a Republican in office, because you're going to have some respect there. But unfortunately, my dad, Superman, kryptonite, probably coveting, you know, if the Panthers look a little kryptonite, you know, after midnight, my dad was probably there, okay? With a lot of heart and soul. JFK, Superman will save us from the school shooters, and the girls in your class will bend over. Okay, isn't that the truth? Like, today in class we're going to study something very vague, and it's across the street, and only chickens can cross the street. Okay, and it's like, okay, cock-a-doodle, doodle-doodle-doodle. This is reality, okay? We're not going to school to compete, okay? Women are the proprietors of the oldest profession in the world. Men do not have that. They have to learn their professions, okay? They cannot just simply say, take off their clothes and say, do I get the job? You know, because that's the job that's going to war. That's like saying, oh, that's normal. You can do anything. You can be a prostitute. We can have atrocities, and you could be responsible for that if you don't see the George Washington. Okay, it's on a dollar bill. I know you're probably thinking, no, I only take 20s. You know. This is the reality, okay? Women mess up royally, and they mess up reality in the New World. In the Old World, it is different. Catherine the Great built everything of slate, okay? Before it was made out of paper, after it was slate, okay? It's actually before it was wood and after it was of stone. But, you know, we have to say something great like slate because you can write on it. It's like this device, and that's the key, is to have a situation, a computation, a fully complete state. That's where women can operate. Okay, yes, it's all rhyming. And, okay, and there's no script. They're desperately after, I'm doing fundamental science, and for me to not have a script is like saying, oh, we're just going to have an atrocity here, an atrocity there, school shootings, chemical weapons attack. That's pretty much the plan. Just roll with it. We'll give you the microphone, and you can say, oh, well, we haven't caught the professor yet because we're too cheap. We'd rather have the wars. We'll investigate them. We'll send in our prostitutes, but we won't actually solve anything because it's not politically correct. Okay, this is the reality. Okay, women reporters are basically saying, ooh, I want that story. Ooh, can I have it? There's some pathetic joke there, which I'm not going to go into, but ooh, yes, it's so big. Okay. That's what you're doing if you're doing that. Okay, if you're sending someone like Catherine the Great was to marry, so there was no question of her position. She was going to be royalty for life. Okay, it's not like a short-term position, but it only happens in the old world. The new world, it doesn't happen. Okay, because JFK is forbidden from talking to Frank Sinatra, from Jim Morrison, an Irishman who's on TV. JFK is not going to be there. Okay, he's going to send us to war, and we're all going to be doing drugs, but talking to people who are politically incorrect. Okay, and Frank Sinatra is politically dynamic. Okay, so he's finding the truth. He's saying, I'm talking about love, baby, and people in the government are saying, no, let's just go to war. That's what they want to do, spend trillions on the military-industrial complex, and not educate the George Washingtons. Anything but that, because George Washington will take over. God will take over if you let him into your heart. Okay, this is the fundamental reality. George Washington and God in your heart will take over. That is what you have to understand. Okay, and I'm searching for the script. Okay, because I want to get it right. Right, I want to get it graceful, and I'm telling you, if I'm struggling, if George Washington is struggling, and tell me he isn't, just go ahead and pretend there. Go ahead with the fake news, say, oh, George Washington was so lucky he had so many slaves, as if that's really a good thing. Because slaves, they'll do anything, okay? Otherwise, and this is the reality, this is a really twisted reality, and all you have to do is alienate them geography, keep them separate from their culture. That's what happened with George Washington. He was divided, the scholarship did not happen, and the war did happen. Okay, so anyone who knows this, okay, and I think a lot of people do know this, go ahead and deny it, go ahead and lose. Okay, that's what happens when you deny. You get nothing. Okay, and there is when I talk about these satellites. Okay, the satellites doing. You can control the weather. You can shift the clouds. You can push the high pressure. And if you are in this prostitution reality or fantasy, because that's what it really is when it comes to prostitution, it's like, no, are we going to live happily ever after? No, I'm going to grab your money and leave. That's what the prostitute does. And the guy's like, that's right. Let's cross the street quick. I'm going to fly, And as long as you don't spend too much time with the woman, she's not going to take too much of your money. That's why 4 years would have been too much. Okay, now look at, I tried to cover this FDR. Okay, so his wife was the one who was running things, and the Holocaust happened fully on while she was there going, oh, isn't this wonderful? We're giving all the money to the idiots now. And he's like crippled, and his wife is handing out, giving the money to the people who are undesirable. Okay, and Woodrow Wilson. Okay, the Great War. Okay, you guys got to really pay attention because this is science. This is not politics. This is, I talk about, social psychology, and the reality is that psychosociology, because sociology is the really intense one. It's simply about an outcome. Whereas psychology is like an endless process. Like, oh, we're going to, endlessly sort of trying to fix things. Sociology is fixing things. Okay, it's not trying, it's doing. I mean, if you're not doing, then you're going crazy. And that's why it's psycho, because the psychos take over, the undesirables take over, and this makes the world lousy. Okay, all you have to do is say, no, George Washington, he's too smart. He's got a strong mother, a little sister. We'll never give him a scholarship. We'd rather go to war. We'd rather have school shootings than give George Washington a scholarship. That's what you just have to admit, that you want school shootings, you want chaos, you want the most desirable people to suffer, just like in the Great War. And again, Woodrow Wilson had at least one big sister. Theoretically he had two, but one of them has been erased from Wikipedia. So clearly she was either an undesirable or did something wrong. Same thing with Hewlett-Packard. Okay, what do you want? Do you want to destroy the environment? Just, the next Holocaust is the environment. It's been fully prophesized. Or do you want to have world peace and prosperity, which starts with prosperity for the George Washington, for the spokesman, okay, because the woman will lead us to war. It's written in history. George Washington's mother said no to both going to school in the old world, which is, to a proper school, and no to the Naval Commission. Okay, if someone were to go in, step in there, they would have had to pay for all this stuff. And a lot of people are just saying, oh no, the woman said no, so let's go to war. And this is what happens. Okay, all you have to do is say, oh, isn't that cute? That George Washington's struggling. Let's have a Holocaust. Okay, because George Washington has a little sister. Okay, okay, this is reality. And Franklin FDR's wife and Woodrow Wilson's big sister. Okay, and I don't know if any of them had stepfathers, but this is very scientific. This is utterly accurate. Okay, you want peace? You really want peace? You must give absolute prosperity to the George Washington. Otherwise, we're at war. Okay, and using all the scientific technology to instigate animalistic stupidity. Okay, sure, yeah, a bird that appears on the doorstep is pretty cool, but a crazy person who starts ranting just because they see your face, that's saying, oh, we should have a war. Okay, now I understand that it works both ways, and that everyone is curious to see what can happen in the world. They're not just curious, they're really hoping something good happens. But I'm telling you, to have peace, and this is what I want, this is what you want, and prosperity, you must start with the prosperity for the spokesman and make sure that he has enough prosperity to secure love and the learning process, which is the situation. It's the very same. Okay, a woman, what she really wants is a home. Okay, absolutely a safe, happy home that's desirable, good neighbors. She might have her own little space. She's got a little space. Maybe her mom lives over there, her parents live over somewhere nearby. So she has all that, and that's like the perfect place for a man and a woman to study and to have love and have babies. That's what I want. That's what good world wants. Okay, to have control and to identify the rules completely.